Okay.
I'm going 30-27 Philadelphia.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Why are you like a low-key Eagles fan? Because you love Jalen Hurts. That's why.
I got to roll with RC on this one. I think the Eagles will win it. Eagles will win the Super Bowl Sunday.
If I could predict the time that accurate, you know what else I could predict, folks? Super Bowl. Eagles are going to win tonight. US Stadium. I think they're going to cover the spread, dominating the fourth quarter. At some point, my guy better than your guy. That's why I believe the Eagles win a close football game.
All right.
Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Eagles win.
Eagles going to win the Super Bowl, make you look bad.
And I'm going with the Eagles, baby.
The Eagles are going to win this game.
Philly's gonna win. I don't like what I saw offensively from KC. I'm gonna go with the Eagles. You are?
Oh, damn, really? Eagles gonna win the game. That's a good thing, isn't it? Because they got a whole bunch of.
I like the Eagles to win.
Wow.
I would not be shocked if the Eagles won this and won by double digits.
AQ's on the Philadelphia Eagles. Tone Diggs is on the Philadelphia Eagles. Ty Schmidt is on the Philadelphia Eagles.
And I think the trenches is where this game is won. I saw it happen with Tampa. Even though the Chiefs beat San Francisco, I saw it happen with San Francisco. And Patrick Mahomes is not the same guy when his team is getting cracked in the trenches, and they're going to get cracked in the trenches, which is why I like Philadelphia.
Oh, the land of the free and the home of the free.
Mahomes looking that way, throwing that way. Kelsey got it. Touchdown. Hurts on a quarterback draw. Nowhere to go. The ball's loose. Sitting on the turf. It's picked up by Bolton. No one in front of him. He's going to score. Here's Mahomes. In some trouble. And his catch, I think, by Kelsey. Boy, low throw. He went down. Mahomes, pocket collapsing. Running around. Looking like going to take off. Has the first down. Still on his feet. Mahomes down to the 5. For Kansas City. Pacheco right up the gun and in. Touchdown. Quick throw. Tony's got it. Tony walks in. Touchdown Kansas City. Punt of the day for Philadelphia. Here's Sipas. Low sinking kick. Tony on the run. Still up on his feet. Tony has a wall. There's another block. Tony inside the 20. Tony still going and he's down to the 5.
Ineligible player on back-to-back plays.
Blitz coming. Mahomes. Man wide open. Touchdown Chiefs and Sky Moore. Mahomes slings it. Juju Smith-Schuster first down for the Chiefs. Pacheco tries to get to the edge. Pacheco, a lot of room to run. It gets upended there. Trouble, gets away. Mahomes racing with the bad ankle and all. Inside the 20, he's taken down. Somehow, Patrick Mahomes. Butker up, got it.
Hurts takes the snap. The Chiefs only rushing 2 on a delay.
Clock is going to be out of time, and the pass is going to be underthrown. It's incomplete. It's incomplete. The Chiefs are champions of Super Bowl 57. Next time the Chiefs say something, put some respect on our name. Chiefs Kingdom
Live.
Hey, I got some wise words for that Cincinnati mayor. Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni. It's my home's house. Woo! Arrowhead my ass. Next time the Chiefs say something, put some respect on our name. You gotta fight for your right to party!
Yeah, let's go.
It's Wednesday, 7 o'clock. It's time for Chiefs Kingdom Live. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining, watching us this evening. We don't need to tell you the Chiefs are Super Bowl 57 champions. You all
baby.
know. If you haven't clicked like, if you haven't clicked subscribe, I don't know what else we got to do. That video, Bo, was sick. Tell a friend, tell a family member, tell your financial advisor, tell your boss, tell everybody. Help spread the word. We'd really appreciate it. What a day, what a week. We got so much to break down and talk about. The parade today. We're just keeping this party rolling. This is our week. This is championship celebratory week here on Chiefs Kingdom Live. If you didn't catch us last night on the locker room rant, those guys had us on and let us just basically gloat for an hour and a half about winning the Super Bowl. Appreciate those guys. Check out their channel. They're a lot of fun. Fellas, how are we doing tonight? Bo?
Dude, 3 days removed, I'm still reeling from that win, man. God, what a game. Just awesome victory. Complimentary football. Couldn't ask for more. As some of you guys know or may not know, I went to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, just extra special to actually be there and witness that. So, yeah, dude, still on cloud nine. Still just reeling. Nick, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing great, man. I took some time off of work today to watch the parade. I didn't go to the parade, but I took some time off to watch the parade, and I've been saving this since the Super Bowl. I've got my Stone Cold Jones sarsaparilla. So they don't make these anymore. So here's the Chiefs here.
I got the old usual, but in a Super Bowl 57 cup, no big deal.
Very nice, very nice.
Cheers, fellas.
Tastes
I
like
was gonna say some of those videos in the intro, the montage there, looked like they were shot on a cell phone. So
yeah, there might have been some original video in there for once. Not Uncle Mike over at Fox and the NFL channel letting us borrow the footage, right?
Yeah, well, we appreciate them letting us borrow the video, even though we didn't ask.
Always, yeah.
Yeah, no, what a game to go to, man. I was so pumped for you that you were there. And not only did you go to a Super Bowl, you went to a Chiefs Super Bowl. And not only did you go to a Chiefs Super Bowl, you went to like one of the best Super Bowls of all time. Oh, and by the way, the Chiefs won.
It didn't stop.
That's another one. I don't know how much it cost. I don't want to know how much it cost, but it had to be worth every penny. What was that like, man?
Dude, that was one of the funnest experiences of my life. It's up there, dude. Top 2 for sure. It was so electrifying. The sound there was just absolutely deafening, just insanely loud. Chiefs fans represented so hard. Every time the Eagles took the field, you could hear the chop. That was the all-consuming noise, and you could tell it was getting into them, dude. Like you could see players like shaking their head. They don't like it, but oh man, it was just fuel to the fire. Electrifying, right? Like they kind of had us in that first half, not gonna lie, kind of thing, right? But like I wasn't worried. We have Patrick Mahomes, man. I think I sent you guys a text at halftime. Like Eagles fans are celebrating already, like they won. Do they not know who they're playing against, right? And woo, what a game. We'll get into that more later, but yeah, just an overall thrilling experience. So much fun, man. Absolutely worth it. If they go again, I recommend you guys do it. It is a blast.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Congratulations again on getting to go and see that live, man. What a game. We watched it with some family here over at cousin Zach. You know Zach. We watched it over at cousin Zach's house. It was some ups and some downs and some twists and some turns, and I was really anticipating an easy win. For whatever reason, I just thought the Eagles had played a bunch of bad to average competition all year, and they were going to face a juggernaut team and a real quarterback. And there was some opportunities for the Chiefs to really put that game away, but they had the missed field goal when they were driving. They had some poor plays on defense. The bomb touchdown they gave up. They had gotten the Eagles into third down a bunch, but that doesn't really do you a whole lot of good if you don't get off the field on third down. So, yeah.
There were a couple of points in that game, dude. It looked like the Eagles offense could do no wrong. They looked flawless, and our defense just looked like they were struggling. But hey, man, they made the adjustments, and they got a couple 3-and-outs there in very crucial times, man. So,
yeah, tale of two halves, right? That was the name of that game. And Nick Bolton, you saw in the highlight there, beginning, scores a defensive touchdown. You got to like your chances anytime your defense scores a touchdown in the Super Bowl. So, yeah, big plays by both teams. Thrilling game. There's a lot to break down, but we'll just get to you, Bo. You kind of gave us how you were feeling being there live. Nick, before we get into the details and start talking about players and performances and key plays and matchups, just tell everybody what your emotional roller coaster was like watching that game. How are you feeling?
Yeah, obviously we come out and we look really good. Defense gave up a touchdown, not great, but offense goes down, scores. And then really kind of both sides of the ball don't play super great. The defense is allowing long drives, so the offense didn't get a lot of opportunities in that first half. The offense, when they had the ball, didn't do much afterwards. Patrick looks like he's hurt bad coming off the field. It didn't look like okay, I'm just trying to walk this one off. You could tell he was really feeling that injury. He came off the field. And then we go and we're just sitting there for 40 minutes or however long that halftime is, right? And you're just sitting there thinking, I know the Chiefs can do this. I've seen them do this. Are they going to do it? Because we saw them not do it against Tampa too, right? I mean, similar, Patrick was hurt in that game. And then they come out and they play basically a perfect half of football. And you get the call at the end, which we weren't expecting from Carl Sheffers to go our way, that allows us to kind of seal the game there.
Out of all people.
I will say it wasn't Sheffers that threw the flag, but yeah, no.
Well, it's his crew, right? Yeah, I mean, so it comes down to Butker to kick the field goal. We kick the field goal, and it's just, fuck, man, we won the Super Bowl again, and they're hoisting the trophy, and we're talking about the second one, and you just, as a Chiefs fan, going, I was 35 when they won the first Super Bowl that I was alive for. You just are sitting there like, I mean, it almost doesn't even feel real, right? You're just watching it on TV, and it's your team, and they're saying you guys are the Super Bowl champions, and even though it's happened before, it's just still special, man. And so, you get the feelings of validation of, we knew this team was great. We know this quarterback coach combination is great. There's been a lot of things that have been said about other people, and it really did. I mean, aside from just feeling awesome and being not like, feeling surreal, it really just felt validating of, all right, we've got the guy. Nobody else has the guy. We've got the guy. And we're set up to win for a long time, man. So
yeah, we are.
Kind of the overall encapsulating feelings I had.
I want to get both of you guys' answers to this question. Nick, you go first. At what point did you know the Chiefs were going to win?
I
knew the Chiefs were going to win after Patrick scrambled. I felt like
the
only thing I was trying to do is figure out time-wise if we were going to give them the ball back with any time left. But I just felt confident that I know that the defense had just given up 8 points. I just felt like even if the Eagles had got that ball back, that the defense was going to do it because they did it against the Bengals. I felt like they had enough plays in the tank to make it happen regardless. So as soon as we got down there, we were in field goal range. We were chewing up the rest of the clock. I felt really good about our chances of winning.
Dude, yeah, and especially the defense there at the end was on fire, dude. They kind of made the right adjustments and it almost figured them out there by the end of that game. So I think you're 100% right on that. For me, though, I would have to say I kind of said this last night, right? There was a point where I think it was Snead comes up and tackles Gainwell on a bang play. They ended up calling it a no catch, no play, or incomplete pass, excuse me. And but Nick Bolton scooped it up and he thought he had his second touchdown of the game. That stadium erupted, dude. It sounded like mini Arrowhead. My watch went off saying that like you could sustain ear damage at sound levels this high, right? Like it went off. And then it was just so confusing being there live, right? Because they just say they get on the intercom and they say incomplete pass, right? So everybody's like, oh, that sucks. But then out of nowhere, they light up the scoreboards and say touchdown. And one of the refs comes in and says touchdown, right? And we're just like, okay, he's got two, right? And like, even though it wasn't in the stadium, that moment, you could just feel the change, right? All the Philly fans had stopped dancing. They stopped being so like aggressively in your face with their Eagles chants, right? There was way less middle fingers and birds flying around. Just the overall demeanor changed into it. And like it you could just tell, dude, like they knew like, oh, this is a fragile little egg we're holding right now. Like, oh no, like they felt the pressure. You could tell there, man. And like, it was at that point that I was just like, yeah, this is ours. This is ours right now.
Yeah, I had 2 points where I knew they were going to win. So I knew they were going to win when Patrick had the 26-yard scramble, got into field goal range. But then I see Jerick McKinnon with the ball, and he's running around the left end, and you realize there's no one going to tackle him. And I look at the clock, and I'm like, dude, there's a minute left. And I'm thinking he's going to run in and score the touchdown. And I'm like, you're going to give him a minute to go down and try and get the game-tying touch. And then he slides. And right at that moment when he slid, right there, I knew. I was like, Chiefs just won the Super Bowl right there. That was the moment I knew for sure.
Such a heads-up play.
Man, what a heads-up play, unselfish play, a team play right there. Man, you hear a team player, that's a team player right there. You're that close to what could potentially be the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. How many times did that guy play that scenario out in his head as a kid growing up playing football? And in high school and in college, man, like you're going to be the guy that's going to score the game-winning touchdown. And he sacrificed that possibility, that opportunity to help guarantee and make the win a more sure thing for the team and his teammates. Props to that dude. I've got to get him. I've got to get a jersey of that guy here at some point. So.
Jason Kelsey was talking about that play on his podcast, right? Their defensive call for that play was called Ole, like alluding to like a matador, like letting a bull come and just charge right through, right? So they played it super hard up until they got it, and then like you're saying, it's just a big brain move for him, completely unselfish. Travis Kelsey on the other end of that podcast said, I would have 100% ran that ball in, right? Like that ball is going on my mantle. I scored that ball in the Super Bowl, right? Like I just go back to the sideline like, oh, it was such a big moment. I didn't know, right? It was so yeah, dude. Hats off to that guy. What a great team, dude. Just the awareness everybody has on that field at that moment to do that. Because like you said, like you thought he was going in. I thought he was going in. The announcer on TV, I watched the replay, thought he was going. He's like slide.
Right.
So just yeah, dude.
Yeah,
huge moment.
it's a little bit different circumstance and score, but the Super Bowl win in Super Bowl 54 against the 49ers, if Damian Williams doesn't run that ball in, they could have kneeled the clock out in that game.
Yeah,
and
right.
He didn't stop. He ran that sucker right on into the end zone. And then now the 49ers, that was a different situation. They would have had to score and then get an onside kick and kick the field goal, but they ran the clock out. And I remember having a little bit of nerves going on when he ran into that end zone. I was thinking, man, you just gave them a chance to go down and get a field goal or a touchdown and then get the onside kick and go down and tie this thing. So, yeah, props to that guy. He played a hell of a game in that game. He had some nice runs.
Yeah.
Jared McKinnon, one of the unsung heroes of this team. What did you guys see out of Jared McKinnon, Nick?
His blocking, if you look back on a couple of those touchdown plays, he was plowing the road for those. I think it was the Pacheco touchdown. And then even, I know that it was wide open, but I think it was either the Tony or the Sky Moore. He's in the end zone blocking, right? So I think that he had a very selfless game. He got a lot of touchdowns, and so he probably was more okay with not maybe being the guy in the Super Bowl. But that everybody, like you said, I mean, everybody wants to get a score in the Super Bowl, but to be that selfless and to make those blocks and to make sure that his teammates had what they needed so that the team could win, so that they all get rings instead of you just getting a personal accolade. That's really what stood out to me. And kudos to him, especially a guy that has had a past with injuries, and the San Francisco fan base does not like him, right? The organization and him did not see eye to eye. He was kind of a scrap heap guy that we picked up, and look what now he's a Super Bowl champion. So
yeah, he's been on the team the last 2 years on 1-year deals.
Yeah.
Right.
Bo?
No, man. I mean, when you watch him live, dude, you get a real good sense for how fast that guy is. But then you also get a real sense for like how little he is. And it's impressive that he's putting guys on their ass that are 60 pounds bigger than him. You know what I mean? And you're just like, all right, dude, they have their blitz protection package down. And yeah, Nick nailed it, dude. His protection and blocking schemes are just unmatched for that position. And then he's okay with being a number 2, right? Like just letting Pacheco kind of like take that lead back, and he's cool with being the number 2 guy and just, not drama or anything like that. Yeah, dude. But essentially what Nick said, so I'm not going to try to sit there and repeat everything he did. So
yeah, he was the kind of like the man behind the scenes, right? I know he set the touchdown, the record in the regular season, most receiving touchdowns by a running back. But yeah, just sticking his nose in there. It's not, blocking isn't always about being the biggest guy. It's, are you willing to stick your neck out and run into a guy who's bigger and probably stronger and probably outweighs you by 20, 30, 40 pounds, linebacker?
And gets paid to hit people. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you willing to go in there and take that hit? It's going to hurt, and it's going to hurt even worse the next day. But yeah, just that just goes back even more to his unselfishness. He's willing to, he puts his body out there, leaves it all on the field for his teammates, physically, mentally. We just talked about him sliding down at the one that basically sealed the game for the Chiefs. So we can't give that guy enough credit for what he meant to this team this season and in this game. So,
not to completely backtrack on you guys, but like, how were you feeling when we won that coin toss? Like, any emotions there? Because I was pretty stoked about that. Like, that's just like that first little like, yeah, let's go, right?
Right.
Wearing white jerseys in a Super Bowl, like that's kind of
first win of the day, right?
Yeah, I don't know. There had been talk all week about the last 12 of 14 teams to win the coin toss that actually lost the Super Bowl. So I was excited. I was happy they won, but part of me was almost like, man, is that a curse? Because you hear all these stats about.
Is that really the number?
It's such a long 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl. You just see and hear so many different stats and records and whatnot. So, yeah, when they won the toss, I was like, it seems like the Chiefs always win the toss somehow. I'd be interested to see go back the last 2 or 3 seasons and see what their win percentage is on the coin toss. But they chose to defer, and it kind of bit them a little bit because the Eagles go right down the field and score a touchdown, and you're like,
right,
maybe that wasn't the best idea. And then, of course, the stat comes up that they've been talking about the last 2 weeks about how the Eagles were the number one offense on opening drives and the start games this year in the NFL, and you're like, well, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. Maybe you wanted to change strategy a little bit there. But no, yeah, I was, excited they won the toss, but there was a little part of me there in the back of my head that was a little bit superstitious coming out.
There were two
Not a good
Philly
idea.
fans right next to me right when the coin toss happened, and he looks over at his buddy. He's like, I don't believe in the superstitions anyway. And I was just like, yeah, me neither. We're gonna kick your ass.
Yeah. Funny. Nick, coin toss, were you happy, indifferent, what?
Yeah, I was happy because I knew that we would defer, and I knew that getting the ball first in the second half was one of the keys to winning the game. I know that it didn't look good when the Eagles went down and scored, but that opening possession in the second half is so important in a game. It gives you the opportunity to get an extra possession in the second half. You look at the way it played out, we were down 10 points. It allowed us to cut that lead to 3 points. Then really it was a close game from then on, right? So I felt good about it, and I look at those things as they're just kind of arbitrary things that happen when they have these weird streaks. It doesn't really have a bearing, and so I try not to be too superstitious on things like that. And Mahomes breaks curses, man. He broke the Madden curse. He broke the MVP curse. He's the first player this century to win the MVP and the Super Bowl in the same season. So
I'll be curious to see who decided to wear the white jerseys for the Super Bowl, because I have a feeling it was like heavily on the players, and everybody's going to lean with what he would want.
Yeah, it's I believe the home team, or whoever's considered the home team, gets to decide, and they switch that every other year. Eagles were the home team, so I guess
I just mean the all white.
Eagles decided to wear the green. There's that other thing too. Is like 13 of the last 15 teams to win the Super Bowl wore white. Obviously, the Chiefs were one of the teams that wore red a couple years ago. One of the small number of teams to actually win it wearing the dark colors. But I think deferring is good if you get a stop, but if you instantly put yourself in a 7-0 hole, I know getting the ball at half is great, but maybe if you get the ball first and you score a touchdown, you put the Eagles on their heels, who knows how different the game goes at that point. Yeah. So it's one of those things to me where you don't really know, but they weren't going to break their tradition. That's what they do. That's their game plan. That's their MO. When they win the coin toss, they want to defer and get the ball in the second half and put their defense out there first. So, the defense was a little worrisome there in the first half, that first drive. Eagles marched the ball right down the field on the Chiefs to score a touchdown.
Yeah,
and like,
bro, they looked sharp.
For sure.
Yeah, they were doing whatever they wanted, really. And I know the Chiefs got them in some third downs. We saw that all year with this defense. They struggle. If that's something you want to critique the defense and say looking ahead to next year, which is really way too early to be looking ahead to next year, but third down defense, third and long situations killed this team all year. You go back to the championship game against the Bengals. I think they gave up 3 conversions on third down of 10 yards or more in that game against the Bengals. Those are killers, but Nick Bolton makes a huge play. That was a little bit of a gift by Jalen Hurts. He just dropped the ball.
Yeah, dude.
No one knocked it out. No one hit him. Okay.
He just said, whoops.
Bolton, how many times have you seen a guy try to do the scoop and score and he kicks the ball away and it goes out of bounds?
Or they fall flat on their face and miss it, right? Yeah.
Or you miss it or you kick it back to the other team. So a part of me was thinking, just fall on the ball, man, just fall on the ball. But as soon as he picks it up, you see it gets in his hands, runs it in for a touchdown. That almost negated the opening drive touchdown, right? By the Eagles.
Right.
Because you just stole possession right there by scoring with your defense. Nick Bolton is your guy. He
couldn't have happened to a better guy, right?
Couldn't have happened to a better guy. That was your end zone you were sitting in. He's been your guy all year. as soon as I saw that it was him with the ball and he was, I realized he was going to get into the end zone when he got to about the 15-yard line. I was thinking, bro, I bet Bo right now is losing his shit. What
Dude,
was
I
that
was
like?
screaming. I was screaming Bolton at the top of my lungs, dude, because I like immediately saw him pick it up, and I was just like, "No way!" I looked over at Ashley, was like, "It's Bolton!" Shaking her, like, "Ah!"
Yeah.
Dude, he gets in the end zone, dude, and it's just typical game. I'm surrounded by Chiefs fans. There's like Philly fans kind of sprinkled in, right? So like they're around, but like just start high-fiving everybody, right? I alluded to it earlier. He almost had 2. So, I mean, dude, that guy just had a hell of a game. He was flying around the field, dude. He really impressed me with how much speed he can actually cover in a short distance, right? Like, you kind of see it on TV. You're like, man, that guy's pretty good. But when you see it live, you're just like, he just covered 30 yards in like 3 seconds, man. That was it just seems a lot faster when you're down there watching it. And it's just that much more impressive. But oh man, couldn't have been more ecstatic. And then you're like you said, it happened right in front of us too, right? So like he actually like jogged up to the field goal and then like down in front of us and was like celebrating, dude, and like just gets the crowd amped that much more, especially like for them to like that was to tie the game, I believe, right? Yeah, so it was huge.
Yeah, sick play by him. Bolton had a hell of a game, not just a touchdown, but he spied Jalen Hurts a lot in that game and did a good job of holding him.
Did a great job.
He didn't spy him the whole time, and Jalen burned him a couple times for some long runs, but held him somewhat in check. I want to say he ended the game with like 9 tackles, he was one of the leaders, if not the leader in tackles for the game. The guy had an unbelievable season, breaking Derek Johnson's single season Chiefs tackle record.
Crushed it.
I want to talk about that play. Tom mentioned it just a second ago in the comments in the chat there about Bolton should have had 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
Bro, that play, I know you're at the game, Bo, and you can't see all of the replays and angles like you do on TV. And you're looking at the Jumbotron, because it's just like that when you go to the Chiefs game when you're at Arrowhead and they're showing the replay, but hell, it's on the Jumbotron. And
then they show like the worst possible angle. They're like, here's the blimp view of the play. You're like, this is not helping at all, man. What did we do?
But I see, because it looked like they hesitated to make the ruling on that play. So he's in the end zone. No referees are wanting to make a decision. And I'm sitting there yelling at the TV, call it a touchdown so you can review it, right? How many times have we talked about that this season on this show? About if you're in question, if you're in doubt, call it a touchdown because they'll review it at that point being a scoring play. I saw him signal touchdown. I thought, well, that was kind of close. That was a bang-bang play. They show the replay. He's like this. He catches the ball with 2 hands. 1 foot is in the air, right, when he catches it. 1 foot's on the ground. 2nd foot comes down. Ball still in control with both hands. He turns to run upfield. I'm like, they're not overturning that. That's a touchdown.
Right.
Literally.
Oh, dude, everybody had this
one camera angle on the replay. They come back and they say that he didn't. It wasn't a catch, and I was absolutely floored.
So, dude, they called it a no catch, but then, like I said, in the stadium, all of a sudden they called it a touchdown, right? So, like, everybody's ecstatic, and it's so confusing without being able to hear anything. So you just think touchdown, and then all of a sudden, Eagles offense marches back out. You're like, huh?
Right.
You just said touchdown.
Yeah.
Is there anybody, there were
3 points, right? So the 10-point swing.
Yeah, there was some folks on Twitter that I was going back with, and some were even Chiefs fans that were wanting to argue that it's not a catch because he needed to take another step or what. I'm like, well, since when do you have to have 3 steps, 3 feet down to make it a catch? When you turn upfield, the rule is possession with 2 feet down and a football move. I'd be interested if anybody in the comments disagrees with us. Nick, I know how you felt about it. You thought that was clearly a touchdown, right?
I felt like they were going to overturn it, but I also feel like it shouldn't have been overturned. So I knew they would just because of how quick it happened. But the guy catches the ball. He starts to turn upfield. What pissed me off is it didn't even really get a full review, right? It was more the Sky Judge or whatever review. They just pretty quickly said, no, that's not a catch, which really irritated me. It's such a big play, and I don't know what a catch is in the NFL anymore. I felt like they kind
I
of
don't think refs do.
Out, and I was like, okay, so if this happens and this happens, then that happens. And you're like, well, the rules obviously don't mean shit because everything that it said, 2 feet down, a third step, or a football move, which to me, turning your body to go upfield when you have the ball secured, it's not moving around, is a football move.
Dude,
and then
the greatest point I heard about. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. And then there's another third down play that we challenge. The guy's got the ball on his helmet, and then he's juggling it, right? And it's a big third down play. And I don't think he got ball controlled with 2 feet in bounds. And then they uphold that. And I don't know. I just don't feel like I know what the fuck a catch is anymore.
The greatest point I heard about that no catch, right, is like if that happens in the end zone for a touchdown, and you're like Philadelphia's throwing that for a right? Are they arguing that's a catch, right? If that's in the end zone
every time.
They're gonna call it a touchdown possession, and the play's over right there, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, 1,000,000%. To me, I put out on the Chiefs Kingdom Live Twitter account. Look, if that catch by Goddard on the sideline, if that's a catch, then the play by Gainwell was damn sure a catch and a fumble.
Well, dude, the thing with Gainwell's catch is like you said, he had secured the ball. Like there's no more rotation. It's stopped, right? And then that Goddard catch, he's bobbling it against his face mask, and they call it a catch. I don't know if you've seen the side by side of those two. They're like, this one was a catch and this one wasn't, and you're just like, I don't know what a catch is either.
No, absolutely ridiculous. It was a huge swing because, like Nick said, they went down and got points there before the half, and I had a really good, calm feeling about this game all week, for 2 weeks really, and I still thought they were going to win. But I was thinking, man, if they lose this game by 3 points, if they lose this game by 6 points, I'm going to be so pissed that they overturned that. That's going to be the difference in the game to me. You know, I know you want to say go out and get another stop, and the referees, you can't control what they do. Go out and they did get a stop. They got a fumble play hell of a play. Snead jars the ball, drills the dude, jars the ball loose, and if you watch, he gets up, starts pursuing the play, and it actually blocks. I want to say it was Jason Kelsey from making the tackle that sprung Nick Bolton into the end zone. Hell of a play by that guy, man. You make a hell of a play like that and they take it away from you. To me, that's just so frustrating. And I have a hard time getting upset with the defense for then going and giving up points after that. It's like, well, they made the play. How many plays you got to make on one drive? I mean, I don't want to get into too much about the referees, but definitely should have been a touchdown. Nick Bolton. Maybe cost him an MVP, a Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
Arguably, man, there could be a good argument to be made that had he scored 2 defensive touchdowns in that game, that I feel like there's an argument to be made there.
Did not give it to him, right?
Right.
9 tackles, 2 touchdowns on defense.
Yeah. No, he had a hell of a game. He had a hell of a season. He's really coming on as one of these young guys that is on a cheap rookie deal, right? First contract that allows for them to get it. So another guy that had a huge game. Can't go without talking about Travis Kelsey. Another
TMFK, dude.
Dude, it was so funny, Bo, because usually when Nick and I are watching the games, Bo is watching it online or over satellite or something. So it's delayed for Bo. So he's always behind us, and we got our game text thread going. And I'm trying to wait a reasonable amount of time so I'm not spoiling it for Bo. Well, shoe was on the other foot this time because Bo was at the game live, and we're watching it obviously with the delay on the cable there at Cousin Zach's house. And like my phone is dinging, and I'm looking down at the coffee table, and it's like Bo, and I'm like, oh shit, I don't look at that. Like, is that good? Is that bad?
Welcome to my whole season, buddy.
Right. And I can kind of tell too, because when the Chiefs have the ball, I'm like, oh, something good just happened. And when the Chiefs are on defense and I see Bo's name pop up on the screen there, I'm like, Well, that's not good because they don't have the ball. So I opened the message and I look at it, and this was kind of before I realized that was fairly early. That was the first touchdown of the game.
That was the first touchdown, yeah.
This is kind of before I realized he's ahead of us, and I just see TMFK with like 20 exclamation marks, and they're getting ready to snap the ball, and I'm like, all right, something good's about to happen here.
That's when you look over at your family like, I'll bet somebody $20 this is going to Kelsey right now.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I wish I would have been smart enough, quick enough in the moment to think of that. I probably could have looked like Nostradamus there. But that dude, you look at some of the company he's starting to keep with postseason receptions and postseason yards and postseason touchdowns and postseason games with 100 yards and with 75 yards, consecutive playoff games with a catch. He's either number 1 or number 2 behind Jerry Rice. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable what we're watching out of that dude. Nick, Travis, what stood out to you about the game he had in the Super Bowl?
Just what you said. He's just so reliable. I think he had the longest catch of the game from Patrick, and he was wide open. And he even did the can't see me after that play. And you're just like, does he have some kind of superpower? Can he actually turn invisible? Because how the hell is he that wide open on those plays? And you saw there's a few plays. Yeah, there's a few plays where the Kansas City receivers were just so dirtily open in this game. And I know that we'll probably talk about those touchdowns here in a little bit, but it's really just, his route running combined with the offensive genius of Andy Reid and that team, and that execution together is just amazing. And John says it here. Kelsey, he's just a hero, dude. He's a hero on the field. He's a hero for our team. Dylan, he's a stud. You guys are right. There's not enough good things you can say about that guy. If you watched the New Heights podcast today, man, that was towards the end. It was powerful emotionally. And if you haven't watched it, get some tissues before you watch it, because him and his brother are talking about what that means to their family. I mean, it's good. It's great to see, especially where he was when he was younger in his career with Kansas City, more of a hothead. And there were a couple of times where he did some really dumb things and got us penalties. And I was sitting there like, do we really
throwing towels at refs and stuff?
The guy that's going to get penalties because he's pissed off, and he was right about the calls and stuff, but it was detrimental to the team. And so to see his personal growth over the years, to be the leader, the emotional leader of the locker room, the guy that's always open, the guy that's always doing it, he's always out on the field. He's older, he doesn't feel good. It's been a long season. To have that kind of performance in the Super Bowl, man, it's special. It's special, and there aren't a lot of guys in the history of the league that can do what he does on a consistent basis.
Dude, I can't say that I'm surprised that he tore it up in the Super Bowl, right? After watching him perform like that all year. I think he went like 8 for 60 something yards or something like that. Just the dude, like Nick said, like he's always open. John sees here, I didn't curse him after all with my short, right? Like that wasn't a secret, man. I'm just still baffled that it still continued to happen. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but not on the offense, more on the defensive side, about how when like players are on, like Travis Kelce was just on, just crushing, finding the holes, getting wide open. It opens up your playbook, and then more importantly, it opens up the other players. And we saw that on those touchdown plays with Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney, right? You saw all the defenders start worrying about Kelce, and it left 2 wide open touchdowns. You know what I mean? Just because they were worried about that guy. I mean, that's how much of an effect he has on defenses. Like, you had 3 guys paying attention to him, and you completely leave a guy wide open to just walk in for touchdowns. So hats off to that guy. Just a beast, dude. Performed like nobody, like you could, just so good. Not enough good things to say about that guy.
Too fast for most linebackers and too big for most secondary guys, safeties.
Right.
He's just an absolute freak of an athlete. The guy, it's like people keep saying, how do people let him? How do they keep leaving him open? The dude just gets open. They're not leaving him open. It's not like they forget about the guy. He's just that good. And when you're that good, that's how you get to first and second in NFL record books.
81 yards. Sorry, I said 60 something. 80 something. Yeah. 6 for. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, shit, man. 80 yards of touchdown. That's a hell of a game in the Super Bowl. That's second Super Bowl touchdown. He scored he scored the touchdown in the Super Bowl against the 49ers that really lit that comeback and got us back in that game. So he's 2 for 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. Yeah, he was unbelievable at the parade today too. If you haven't seen that already, go watch his speech that he gave at the Super Bowl parade in Kansas City today, which I wish I would have figured out a way to get out there and gone and seen that today. But
oh man, if I had more time, I would have thrown a bunch of that footage in the opening clip. It was so good.
No, yeah,
so much fun.
Yeah, it was sick. Just a good dude too. You can tell he's a genuine guy. He had a chip on his shoulder all season. You could tell the team took, but you could tell him probably one of the guys in particular that took the doubters and the haters and the people saying that the AFC West had caught up to the Chiefs and they had regressed and they weren't going to be as good and they might not make the playoffs, and the Broncos with Russell Wilson and the Chargers with Khalil Mack and Justin Herbert and their genius coach and the Raiders with Devontae Adams. The division was going to be too tough. He has been not just at the parade today, but I mean, even in post-game interviews and all week, he has been talking about, like, I wanted to silence all of the haters and the doubters. And he played with that chip on his shoulder. We've been talking about that all playoffs. Like, how is the team that's been to 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls and had 5 straight AFC championship games at home and has the 2-time MVP on the quarterback, how are they the underdogs? How do people keep picking against this team? But please do. Please do.
Yeah.
Next season, I can't wait until, what is it? It's usually around April or May when the draft happens and free agency opens up and these other teams in the AFC start signing players and getting guys and making trades or whatever. I can't wait. I hope they do it again. I hope the media and I hope all the experts and the analysts and these players on these other teams, Keenan Allen saying, oh, some people are going to get exposed now when Tyreek Hill left the Chiefs, talking about Patrick. Now
I think he's talking about himself.
Patrick is that dude on Twitter now. He was one of the dudes that was a hater. Please keep doing it. This team loves having that chip on their shoulder.
God, those tweets and all those video clips are aging so well right now. Oh, it's beautiful.
You guys are going to see it this offseason. It's going to be the Patrick Mahomes Love Fest for a few weeks, and we're going to get all the great goodies of mic'd ups and NFL turning points and all these things. They're already starting to come out.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, everybody's going to press the delete button in their brain, and they're going to forget about Patrick Mahomes, and they're going to start talking about how Josh Allen's going to do this, and the Chargers are going to be the hot pick to win the AFC West. It's going to happen, guys.
Oh, Lamar's going to be completely healthy, and Joe Burrow's the next Kindle. Like, do no wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Nick, you need to get your Raiders meme, the cycle ready, right?
Raiders cycle.
Yeah, they don't have a quarterback now. And I can see it coming with people talking about Aaron Rodgers might want to go play with the Raiders now because they reconnect with Devontae Adams and he's got a running game with Josh Jacobs. And yeah, okay, good luck with that. They're the Raiders. Everybody knows the Raiders are going to Raider. Everybody in Chiefs Kingdom, that is. So, but we just talked about Patrick Mahomes. You know, what comes to mind when I think about Patrick Mahomes is the old Wayne's World movies. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. The guy, man, is the best player in the NFL. The fact that the guy didn't get the unanimous MVP is an absolute farce. I know Jalen Hurts had some more stats and he had one more touchdown and he was running the ball and he played a hell of a game. Okay. Jalen Hurts played a hell of a game, but he also fumbled the ball away that led to the Nick Bolton touchdown, which you could argue was maybe the difference in the game.
Kind of gave it to him.
That man right there, we could do a 3.5-hour show on all the accolades that guy has accumulated in his short career. But he comes out the defense is not being able to get off the field. Hell, the Chiefs, they had what, 9 minutes of possession in that first half?
It was something ridiculously awful. Yeah.
I just felt like the dude, say, oh, he only threw for 180 yards. Well, shit, the guy only had the ball for what, 25 minutes, 20 minutes?
I think they
The
only had
production
8
that dude
possessions
got
in the
with
game.
the little amount of time that he was on the field. Then the injury happens. He aggravates the ankle sprain on the right ankle. That was a punch to the gut.
Let's back this up a little bit. Because Lainey brought this up. She was talking about the missed field goal, right? We kind of jumped right over that because we talked about that last week. How are you guys feeling about special teams and everything, right? When Bucker missed that field goal, right? Because they eventually call on him to kick the game-winning field goal.
Yeah.
Did you guys think, oh, great, he's back to shanking it? Because I mean, he had the little draw on it, doinked it off the upright, right?
The first thing I thought was how confident I was on this show with Butker, and I was like, nah, he's gonna be great, and then he fucking missed that field goal, and I was like, well,
first one. Okay, so I did, my question's been the coin toss and the kickoff, right? It's weird living in Vegas because at those two moments, I immediately just start thinking oh man, somebody just lost a lot of money on that one, right? I could only imagine that was also a prop bet. Will Bucker make his first field goal?
Or there had to have been a prop bet about a field goal hitting the upright, right? Somewhere,
yeah. Some sports book probably had that.
I mean, they had prop bets on.
We either lost a lot of money or made a ton of money off of that kick.
Yeah, no, I was kind of saving Butker for the end because he had the game-winning kick. But
let's just talk about the missed field goal. We'll save the game-winning kick later then.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He missed the kick, and you're like, man, that might come back to haunt us.
Especially in a game where you need every point possible with that offense operating like they were in the first half too.
Yeah.
There was some debate on whether he slipped or not. I haven't really seen all that definitive of a replay about whether he slipped or not. Made up for it, later on. So, but yeah, it was a big miss, Nick.
I haven't watched it, but yeah, I think he just pulled it. I mean, it wasn't. I don't think he slipped, but I don't know.
Matt brings up a good point. A lot of people talking about the condition of the field. Everybody was talking about how slippery it was, how noticeably slippery it was, and that players were putting in studs, 3 1/4-inch studs, and on this and that, and yeah, I don't know.
No, yeah, I listened to New Heights today, and Jason Kelsey, he said he didn't think it was that bad. And he says, I kind of like a challenge like that. That's part of football is strategy and how am I going to figure this out? How am I going to overcome this obstacle? So it was a garbage field. There was no doubt about that. Guys were slipping and sliding left and right. Luckily, there was no major injuries. The Earth Monster didn't get it.
There wasn't, yeah.
It's pretty amazing to me that they talked about they've been working on this hybrid grass for 12 years or something.
It's 2 years, but yeah,
$1 on
the guy's title that grew the grass was called the Sod Father. I think you lose that title after that game.
Yeah, well, no, not necessarily.
2 weeks ago.
So yeah, he just got there 2 weeks ago. They've been designing that. They've been crossbreeding and germinating that grass for over a decade. And so I don't know why they thought, well, let's test it out on the Super Bowl. That didn't make any sense to me. But no, that dude, that guy has been nails for years when it comes to having the field at Arrowhead, and then also doing all the Super Bowl fields, has been an absolute stud. They came out with this weird hybrid grass that they'd been working on, and it was trash. And they're also talking about how they just planted it 2 weeks ago or whatever. The sod, they came in and hadn't had a chance to root. There were some people.
Yeah, that's what I think the problem was. I mean, I don't know. I just don't think that you can lay out grass and have it hold in 2 weeks. I mean,
no.
if anybody's ever had sod in their yard, they know what that's like. You got to water the shit out of it, and it's mushy, and it takes a full 4 or 6 weeks. And I know this isn't a grass podcast, so I'm not going to continue on talking about what it's like to sod your yard, but this shit takes time. You can't just roll it out and then be like, oh yeah, it's probably going to be good. And it cost McKinnon a big play. McKinnon's had a big slip where he had a huge hole, and I don't know. It was embarrassing for the NFL to have that beat the field for sure.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know if the field conditions were part of the miss by Butker or not, but I mean, it wasn't good. And I was in classic. Well, we got to figure out something to get rid of that guy for next year.
Cut him.
I mean, the dude's been a problem all year. It didn't bite the Chiefs this time, but I mean, it easily could have.
Was he? I mean, I'm not trying to be too contrarian. Was he really a problem all year? I know he got hurt and was like a little iffy, but like as far as bad kicking goes, I don't know if I lump him into the bad kicker category this year.
He had the most. He had the most negative points differential added or whatever. That stat of points added.
The most points lost.
He was the 32nd. So
he was not very good.
Maybe then I didn't know that.
Well,
but he also kicked field goals that won the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl.
Right. No, yeah, he did. I'm not taking the credit away from doing that, but just because you made it last week doesn't make it okay to miss it this week in the Super Bowl, though. I mean, they don't give you credit for a kick you made last week in the game this week. So I'll be interested to know how much that injury he suffered week 1. In Arizona.
The full extent of what he actually injured.
I wonder how bad that lingered. And I know he had done an interview last week saying that he had trained and he had this motion and you work all off season and then you get hurt week 1 and you can't do that routine or that style of kick or that run up, that style of kick. You have to completely scrap all that stuff you've been working on for months, and now mid-season or after the season has started, go to a completely different setup and figure out a way to make that work. So yeah, someone to watch next year.
Right, completely. So Bolton gets that scoop and score. Philly does their thing for the rest of the first half. We go into halftime down by 10. What are your guys' feelings at that point? I have a great picture. I don't know if it was in the drive or not. But I'm sitting there at halftime, and we're waiting for the halftime show. And Ashley puts her phone out. She's like, "Take a picture with me, take a selfie." And I'm like, I just smile, and my smile is like, it's just so not a smile, not feeling that energy whatsoever at halftime.
This one? Was this?
No, I'm pretty. That one's actually. I'm pretty happy in that one.
Okay.
That's
hard to
before
tell.
the game.
I was somewhat concerned, but I wasn't overly concerned at halftime. I knew the team could come back. They've done it time and time again the last how many seasons? They're the comeback kings, right? There's some stat going around that teams that have been double-digit dogs at halftime had been 1-27 or 1-28 in the Super Bowl. Down double digits half. Now it's 2-28. They have won a record, I want to say, Patrick Mahomes for a quarterback number of playoff games being down 10 points or more. They came back from 10-point deficit against the Titans in the championship game before the first Super Bowl, and came back from 28 down in the first half to the Houston Texans, came back from being down obviously 10 late in the second half against the 49ers, being down double digits. So I put out on the Chiefs Kingdom Live Twitter, the defense needs to make adjustments.
Yeah.
They need to figure out a way to get stops and give Patrick and the offense some more opportunities to score. So I was getting a little bit nervous, but I wasn't thinking.
All those same thoughts crept into my mind, right? We've been here before, we know how to do this, but still did not change that. God, damn it feeling that I had. Just like, how are we down 10 points at halftime?
Right. Nick, how are you feeling at half?
When Patrick came off the field and he was in large amounts of pain, and you could see, I mean, he's never really looked quite like that before in any situation. Not even when he had his kneecap dislocated did he look like he was hobbled or that, I don't know, in that much distress. So I was a little concerned, but I went right on Twitter, and the very first tweet I saw was somebody saying, if you tweet that the game is over, I'm unfollowing you. And it was just somebody, he didn't tweet it at me.
Oh,
I was like, yeah, we're right. We're right. Yeah, I mean, we still got half the game. We've got Patrick Mahomes. And so I'm not going to say that I was overly confident that we're definitely going to win, but I didn't think all hope was lost. I was still hopeful that, we got the ball at half. All we really needed to do is score a touchdown and get a stop. And that's essentially what we did. I know it was a field goal, but a touchdown and then a field goal, it's still a one possession game. And then it's game on.
Yep.
From that point, it's game on, and let's just see what they can do. And they came out and they pitched a perfect game on offense in the second half, which is incredible. It's an incredible turnaround. So, but that's how I was feeling. I was
back that up too.
Yeah, I would say I was cautiously optimistic. How about that?
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, and then, get back to Patrick Mahomes. It was the Patrick Mahomes show in the second half. The dude was running. He was throwing dimes.
Was it just me, or did he look more limber after like getting hurt? Like he started running more, he started rolling out, and he just looked way more limber than he did. He looked stiff and like kind of running on his nose, running on his toes, excuse me.
Right.
And like after that fact, he looked like just baller, just running his heart out.
He was sprinting. He was running full speed on that 26-yard scramble late in the game that got him into field goal position. That had to hurt on that ankle, man. That had to be excruciating. The pain and sprinting full speed while you've got a high ankle sprain. We've talked about this before. There's guys that miss weeks, months, 2 months with that injury all the time.
Easily.
And he just won 3 playoff games.
What a warrior,
one
man.
of them being the Super Bowl on that with that injury. Yeah, guys just, he's tough as nails. You can tell like the guy wants it, and he's the ultimate competitor. And I think maybe that's like what you see separates him from maybe some of these other guys, right, in the league, like the Justin Herberts and the guys that can't get it done in crunch time. I don't know to say that they're as talented as him, but I think like the biggest gap between him and all these other guys is just the competitiveness and the will to succeed and just throwing the team on your back, come hell or high water, injuries be damned. He's going to go out there and get it done. Crazy, Nick, I think you said, and you sent me a text or whatever, it said that the highest QBR in the Super Bowl since they started keeping that stat, right?
Yeah, 96.4.
Yeah.
It only goes to 100.
Right.
You very rarely
When
see
did they start
people
keeping QBRs? In the 90s?
Oh, I don't recall. Nick might be able to go back to see that message on me, but
let me look at my texts too.
But yeah, just the grittiness to go out there. It was a pretty cool. I was hearing too that Creed Humphrey gave him like a signal on that play where he had the 26-yard scramble, where Creed Humphrey, he put his hand back like he was kind of adjusting his pants, and he put all 5 fingers up. Like there's only 5 linemen at the line of scrimmage. All the linebackers and all the corners and the safeties, they're all back. Like if you want to run, you're going to have a chance to run on this play. So super interesting pickup.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and watch that. I didn't notice that.
Super, interesting pickup by somebody to notice that. That was kind of going around media today. There's people talking about that on that scramble. But that guy is just, man, I never seen anybody like that dude. His ability he could just do it all, right? You know, he's got the scrambling ability of guys, you know, some of these Mike Vicks or whatever, these guys you've seen can get out and make plays outside the pocket. Steve Young back in the day, Randall Cunningham's. But he can also stand there in the pocket like a Peyton Manning or Tom Brady and make all the throws, be accurate. He was, 96% completion percentage in the second half of that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He had 3 touchdowns, 0 picks.
His only second half was a throwaway. It was 2006 is when they started doing QBR, so almost 20 years, 17 years, and that's the highest anybody's ever had.
On a bad leg, on one leg, essentially.
On one leg, that's pretty good.
One leg in a Super Bowl.
People talk about the flu game, man. You can take some Theraflu and get your ass out there and feel a lot better, man. Like that ankle in that moment isn't feeling any better. He said that he didn't get any pain-killing shots or anything after halftime either. Someone asked him about that.
Wow, that's even more impressive. I was for sure they, you know, did everything possible to make him not feel that.
Yeah, I don't know why he would feel the need to lie. Maybe he did. I don't.
No, I mean, I'm just saying that's super impressive that he didn't do it, right? I was in the opinion that he did that.
Patrick Mahomes a liar?
No, I'm saying it seems almost impossible to me that the dude could go out there and run like that on that injury. So.
Dude lies all the time. He tells the defense, "We're going to the right," and then he goes to the left. Man.
Yeah.
Lies all the time.
It seems unbelievable to me. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that he would lie about it. I don't see why he would feel the need to. But pretty wild. Guy goes out there and throws the team on the back. Gets a second Super Bowl MVP, second Super Bowl win. He's 2-time All-Pro or 2-time league MVP. He's got 2 or 3 first-team All-Pros.
So let's talk more about the second half and his badass performance, right? They come out. Next touchdown is Isaiah Pacheco, right? So like going to naturally kind of lean into going to segue into the run game and what you guys thought about the run game, but obviously, you know, opened up because Patrick was throwing so well. What are your guys' thoughts on Pacheco in that second half and McKinnon and just our overall use of the run game and how evenly we split up, or how balanced it was between pass and run? And just what were your guys' thoughts on that? Nick?
Well, we talked about it. We talked about it in the Keys of the Kingdom. The run defense of the Eagles, it tilted in our favor. With the state of the field, you know, from what I'm hearing from some analysis that I've seen after the game, that tilted in the favor of the offense. So it seemed like with Mahomes, you know, being a little hampered there with his ankle, with our advantage against their defense, and then with the advantage of the field, it looks like we just dialed up some run plays. And Pacheco, man, that guy runs like someone said that, you know, the defense said bad shit about his family before the game or something. It looks so angry and violent when he's running into people. And he got it done. He got it done. The play, I think I have a picture here. I think it was the 3rd and 1 on the last drive where it was kind of an end around. Scott, was that the one that you said was an old Lombardi play?
Yeah, the power sweep. Someone pointed out on Twitter.
It was old power sweep.
Yeah, the Chiefs ran the old Vince Lombardi play from back in the day when, you know, he was obviously legendary coach of the Packers and the Super Bowl trophy is named after him. So why not run a play from his playbook in the Super Bowl? That was a huge first down, too. It was a huge play.
I put that in the highlight.
I mean, he got totally decleated here.
Yeah.
Gets up.
I mean,
runs right back
an
to the
amazing
middle of the field.
player, amazing performance. Incredible value too, right? For a guy that we picked up in the 7th round and he scores a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a pick.
Just incredible.
Yeah, I see Lainey joking about she missed the human snail. He was there. I saw him on the sideline. He didn't have a jersey on. He wasn't suited up.
Right.
Interesting to see what the Chiefs do with him moving forward. But yeah, no, Isaiah Pacheco, he had some nice runs in the first half too, really. They kind of got away from him for whatever reason. The Eagles were lighting up the scoreboard there early and moving the ball. So I felt the Chiefs maybe like they got into like we need to keep pace here. So they kind of got away from the run a little bit. But I think the injury to Patrick right before the half forced them to reestablish the run a little bit there, especially that first drive. coming out in the second half there in the third quarter. Guy ran hard, ran tough. Chiefs averaged 6 yards per carry in that game. You'll take that every
day.
You'll take that every day. 6 yards per carry. Yeah, someone was joking about that must be why all the sidewalks are all busted up in Kansas City, because the dude, that's from where he's out there practicing his running out there concrete. Because it does look like he's punishing the ground, like he's upset with the grass or something. It didn't look like he was slipping or having a hard time keeping his footing. He was out there
man,
hitting the hole, getting big gains, running hard, lowering the shoulder on people. Really excited.
That's another dude. When you see him live, right? You're just super impressed with how quick he is for his size. He has like a little like bounce to his step when he runs too, and like you see him when he starts kicking that on, you just see him just kind of take off, dude. And just what an asset to have, man. And huge nod to the O-line too. Like they finally stepped up, opening up huge lanes for that guy. A lot of misdirection, a lot of movement though, which helped. But those O-line, everybody on the O-line was pushing the D around like they were like little kids, man. They owned that D line that second half. It was so refreshing to see.
Yeah. No, they protected 0 sacks.
Put it on a T-shirt.
They had it.
It was on a T-shirt today.
Yeah, Orlando Brown Jr. had it on a T-shirt. Creed Humphrey also had it on a T-shirt at the parade today. Yeah, those guys. They #1 defense, most sacks in the NFL, and I can't remember how many years it was. Got goose egged, got 0. And I saw Philadelphia players crying that, well, we couldn't get around the edge, and it really affected our edge rushers. A slippery field trying to plant and get and cut around that corner. Both teams had to play on it. I mean, the tackles are trying to block and get their feet set and dig in to the same field you're trying to cut and turn on. So, yeah, I thought that was a little bit maybe of some excuse making. Orlando Brown Jr., the tackles especially, guys that had been criticized this year and had struggled at points to protect the quarterback especially, showed up, played damn well. Wiley went up against that Hassan Reddick, who was one of the best pass rushers in the league this year. Held his own there. They were smart. I feel like we talked about this in the show last week. The Chiefs kind of learned their lesson a little bit about playing Tampa Bay in that Super Bowl. I feel like they kept McKinnon and some of the running backs in and Chip. You kept seeing that.
Yeah, 100%.
Eagles defenders are saying, man, they were chipping and chipping and chipping and then even chipping some more. So, great performance by them and pass protection.
The Chiefs were not letting a repeat performance of that Super Bowl happen. That was for sure. They made sure of it.
And the run game. So, get to the
next touchdown.
Yeah.
No, next touchdown would be Tony, right?
I can't remember if it was Tony or Sky Moore, that whole that whole sequence of getting the touchdown and then getting the stop and then getting the punt return and then getting the touchdown. But fourth quarter, Andy Reid magic. Those 2 plays were as wide open of touchdowns as you're ever going to see in the Super Bowl.
Just walk in.
Right. It was brilliant.
Both of these pictures, you see no defenders.
Right. There's nobody.
Amazing.
Yeah. Just 2 stellar play calls, 2 stellar play designs. It was brilliant the way they manipulated the Eagles defense and their inability to travel and play man. They pass guys off when they play man coverage, and the Chiefs realized that they had a flaw where they don't always pick up the guy. So if you watch that play, the same thing, it wasn't necessarily the same play, but the same concept, the same scheme where the guy goes to go in motion and he gets kind of behind the other receiver and stops, almost like he's hiding behind him, and then kind of trickles back out the way it came. And the defender just keeps going across the formation, snap the ball.
Right.
So Andy Reid asked that play is called corn dog, right? And it's not just like a made up name. I have it at the bottom going down there. Yeah. It's a corner dig route. So it's exactly what you're describing, right? Yeah. Run up, cut right behind the corner, and then you dig out right towards the outside. And they were he definitely mentioned that they were utilizing the conditions of the field, But then also what you guys were saying about how Philly had a flaw there. Definitely noticed that. Left him wide open.
Yeah, it was.
They should call that play cornhole because of what it did to the defense.
That's what the Eagles call it. Yeah,
that's a good one, dude.
Dude, just absolute killer play calls, coaching masterpiece there at the end. I mean, people are calling this like Andy's masterpiece. Well, he got a lot of heat for, he doesn't show up in the big game. Going into this game, he had lost the Super Bowl with the Eagles. He had lost a bunch of NFC championships with the Eagles. Even here, right, he was 1-1 in Super Bowls, 5 AFC championship games at home, a couple losses in there. Got a lot of criticism for the way they lost some of those championship games, especially the Bengals game, with the way the play calling went in the second half and their inability to moving away from the run. People were pretty critical of him in the Super Bowl loss against the Buccaneers and his inability. They didn't adjust, kept running deep posts and having the guys run deep and chucking it downfield when Patrick was running for his life and had no protection. He showed up and, put a clown suit on the defensive coordinator for the Eagles.
They had no answer
when it mattered most. But yeah, 2 of the sickest touchdowns and guys that were not on the team, right? To start that last year, Sky Moore, he's a rookie, and then so he's a new guy. They bring in Kadarius Toney in the trade with the Giants. Thank you very much, by the way, New York Giants, for that guy.
I think the term being thrown around out there is highway robbery for that trade, man. Like, what a pickup. We've been talking about him all year about how dynamic and explosive he is when he's healthy, right? When he's healthy, I am incredibly happy that guy's out on the field.
Did you guys see that he only played 8 snaps in the game?
Yeah.
No.
It's incredible, right? It feels like he made, and obviously
he was such an impact player.
But yeah, he only played 8 snaps in the entire game.
Yeah, I couldn't believe too that you got to remember he was injured in that game against the Bengals, the championship game a couple weeks ago. So
Tony Two-Ton.
Tony Two-Ton, there you go. Race car, good to see you. Congrats on getting to go to the Super Bowl. Looks like y'all had a blast. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Tony.
That punt return. Okay, so seeing that live. So I mentioned this when you guys were at the AFC Championship game. I was like, I am so jealous that you guys get to see certain plays live because you get to see so much more. The camera has this weird tendency to just zoom in where the ball's at. And so on that punt return, right, what you couldn't really see was how awful he kicked it. It was short right? But then as soon as Tony caught it, because of just I don't think that punt was meant to go right. I think it was meant to go left, and he just shanked it, right? Because when Tony caught it, you could just immediately see that lane that he saw. And you just see him look and I don't think he was cutting. I think he was stumbling. His feet were moving so fast. There's the lane, right? And you could just Tecmo Bowl style, right? Just run around the entire edge, right up the field. So cool, dude. It lit the place up, obviously.
Yeah. Reminded me of the days of Dante Hall, the X Factor, the human joystick, right? Where he goes one way and stops and goes back the other. And you can see it really good on TV once he cut back that he had a wall. And you could tell it was going to be a long return. It was a matter of whether he was going to score or how close he was going to get, right?
I watched that play so many times. One, to try to find myself on TV, right? Because the angles, right? I'm like, oh, you can see my seats, but it's so far back in the background that didn't happen. But dude, hats off to Jody Fortson and was it Noah Gray? Who's 85? Who's 85? Is that Kemp? Dude, their blocking on that play was so ridiculous. They start kind of behind Tony and just see him go upfield and make 2 crucial blocks that get him definitely past the 20 all the way to the 5. That was just fantastic. Hats off to those guys.
Yeah. Kemp blocked 4 people. One of those blocks he blocked one guy into 2 other guys and took them out of the play as well. That guy Kemp, he had a big catch in the championship game too that kept a drive alive. even more credit to the depth of this roster and the guys, unsung heroes, guys that most people, especially people outside of Chiefs Kingdom, but even a lot of people in Chiefs Kingdom don't necessarily know who they are or aren't as familiar with them. But yeah, no, it's killer play, the punt return. NFL Super Bowl record, right? Longest punt return ever in a Super Bowl, which to me, that blew
Dude,
me
5
away
yards
when I heard
from
that.
being the only one to be returned. I had no idea. I could have swore one had been returned, at least one.
Right. Yeah. So, hey, anytime you're setting a
So
Super Bowl
close,
record, you're doing something right and you're having a good game, even if you're only on the field for 8 snaps. But, absolute just masterclass by Andy Reid. The time management, we talk about that all the time, where he struggles with that. Did not struggle with that there. They got the ball with a little over 5 minutes left in that fourth quarter, and they used up all of it except for what, like 8 seconds?
I can't remember, dude. It was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I had this question for you. Which would you rather have? Chiefs down by 7 with 3 minutes to go, or Chiefs up by 7 with 3 minutes to go? And we all chose the former, right? Like, there's like the clock management has always just been an issue. And that's kind of what I was thinking. Just like, oh, great, here we go. But whew, we nailed it this time. Finally.
Yeah. Yeah, 5-minute drive to kill the clock and go down, and they kicked the field goal. But like we said, McKinnon, they could have scored a touchdown if they needed to. So there was one little mishap by Juju on that drive where he ran out of bounds, and I was losing my shit a little bit. Like, bro, what are you doing? You can't run out of bounds right there, man. Stop the clock, man. You gotta, that's 30 seconds,
that was
right?
really the only mistake there, right?
Right.
The only mistake there was that he went out of bounds, but otherwise, that 4-minute offense was really incredible. Just how they chewed up the clock. I know they got the 8 of the penalty there at the end, which really sealed it. Otherwise, we're probably having to play some defense there at the end. But just the ability to do that, the wherewithal of the team to not score when the Eagles were going to let them score a touchdown, and to kneel it out. I mean, that was a really well constructed drive, and like you said, with all the time management knocks on Andy Reid, especially in big games and things that we've seen. We were talking about it in the championship game, this time management in the end of the first half and not running the ball. For them to put that drive together in that situation and it's 5 minutes is a lot, especially at the end of the game. And for the Eagles to not touch the ball until there's essentially no time left was a master class and how to drive the ball. So
Dude, you kind of forgot about that whole idea. Like, we tried to do that in the championship game, and we threw 3 passes and only ate up like 3 seconds, 7 seconds, or something like that. It was ridiculous.
They did that same thing in the first half of this Super Bowl. They got the ball a little over 2 minutes left, and they got 3 incomplete passes and ended up basically having to punt the ball away. Gave the Eagles a field goal. They were down 10 instead of 7 because they weren't able to use any of the clock. And I was sitting there like shaking my head. I'm like, dude, like, people just never learn, man. You did this 2 weeks ago. It was almost the exact identical situation, but ended up not costing them. I don't want to get too much into the penalty like Nick referenced a second ago. Look, if it's a penalty in the first 2 minutes of the game, it's a penalty in the last 2 minutes of the game. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, he wouldn't have got to that ball. Well, Patrick threw it away out of bounds because he realized that the penalty was going to be called. He was pointing to it. He saw him pull his jersey. The guy is beat on that play, right? I mean,
Dude, you're not going to
running by him, and he grabs his jersey to slow him down. And people are like, he didn't really slow down his momentum all that much. Well, how do you know that? Like, that's why he's doing it. You think he's
especially on that field, right?
Right. You think he's grabbing him because he's not beat? What are your guys' thoughts on penalties late in the game like that, Nick?
I think exactly what you think. If it's a penalty, it's a penalty. People have brought this up on radio, national talk shows. Nobody was crying for the Chiefs when D Ford in a high leverage situation called offsides. And it took the game-winning interception off the board, and then we ended up losing that game. So I don't want to hear about it. They called it. It's a penalty. you can sit there and say, well, I think it was a chintzy penalty. I don't know. You guys tell me, does that look like a hold or not look like a hold? Because I can see that number 9 stretching out.
He was getting held all game too.
Yeah, and I think they also got away with one earlier, and I think that it was on 3rd down. It was the exact same defender and exact same receiver. I feel like they're like, we're not going to let you do that again to him on 3rd down. And so, yeah, if you don't like it, don't do it next time.
Yeah, we got our guy.
See, there were
pointing that out.
There were
I see him down there. He's saying, yeah, twice he got held, interfered.
Yeah, there were 3 total penalties called against us, 6 against the Eagles.
I've never seen a penalty debated much as that, especially when the guy they called the penalty against admitted that it was a penalty. Like, yeah, I held him. I was hoping they wouldn't call it.
Dude, Nick brought up the point I was going to bring up, dude. There's no sympathy on this side of the field if you're going to talk about a penalty changing the outcome of a game. How many times have we seen that this year? Like, a la the Colts. Nick brought up D Ford in the playoffs. Like, it's not a new thing, right? Like, and that actually was a penalty. Chris Jones talking to Matt Ryan, show me in the real rule book, and says you can't talk to the opposing quarterback. Like,
and I put on the Chiefs Kingdom Live Twitter account. It's like it's just like the overtime rules. No one gave a damn, and everybody was good with it when it was screwing us. And then as soon as it benefits us, oh, now we got to make a big deal about it and change it and talk about it. Just haters. That's all. That's all it is. Haters.
Hey. I'll drink that haterade all day.
Rules and Mahomes can't win anymore.
Right. Butker kicks the game-winning field goal after the 2 wide-open genius plays that give the Chiefs the opportunity to go down there, and they got the lead, and then the defense gives up the 8 points. And I was, man, like, you got an 8-point lead, and then you give up the touchdown right away and the 2-point conversion, bro. Like that was not championship defense.
That reinvigorated the Eagles fans so much. Like, they had been deflated up until that point so bad, right? Even when the Eagles would score, they're like, well, we're still down, and it's still against the Chiefs, right? But when they tied it on that 2-point conversion, you would have thought like that it was an Eagles home game, man. They got so obnoxiously loud. You hear their little song that they sing, and then they spell out Eagles. Good for you guys. You can spell Eagles. Dude, it was so funny because there was the TV delay, right? And then there was a timeout kind of like shortly thereafter that. And that game had gotten so electric that for the last 7 minutes of football, like football time. So we all know that's like 20, 25 minutes real time, right? Nobody sat down. I have a video of it somewhere, dude. Just like it's during a commercial break. It should be like everybody should be sitting down because they've been standing up. It's the 4th quarter, right? Nobody is. Everybody's standing there just yelling their brains out. Just, it's just nonsense, just screaming, dude. Just everybody just trying to be loud. It was such a great time. That dude, what a I think I text both of you guys because like the crowd was doing that even at the commercial break, waiting for the field goal. And I text you guys, I was like, I couldn't imagine being Harrison Butker right now.
No.
Like knowing that you just missed a field goal like way earlier in the game. They're calling on you to kick the game-winning field goal of the Super Bowl. The crowd is nuts. Like one of the loudest stadiums I've heard recently. Like I've heard Arrowhead get louder, and I've heard another stadium get louder. I'm not going to mention it where, but that was top 3 loud, and he stepped up and nailed it. Hats off to that guy because I wasn't so confident in him, especially after the doink, man. I thought we were kind of going to maybe go to overtime. It was super close, but man, we've seen that before out of that guy. Wasn't going to be mad if we were going to overtime, but wasn't 100% confident that he was going to just easily go chip it through like he did.
Yeah, Nick, how are you feeling? What were you thinking, Harrison Butker field goal winner?
Oh, I had no doubt that he was going to make it. That's a chip shot. He missed one, but he made all the extra points. So
he eked an extra point in too, though, earlier in that game.
Hey man, he still made it. He still made them. I wasn't sitting there thinking he was going to miss it. It was way closer than an extra point. That's a chip shot field goal.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I was overconfident, but
dude, what I'm trying to reiterate is how deafening it was in there. There's 4 tiers to that stadium. Everybody's on their feet waving something, right? During the time he's sitting there just practicing, just like doing open leg kicks, not kicking a ball, right? Kicking the air, just getting loose, staying loose.
Right.
I felt nervous for him. I looked down at my watch. I think my BPM was in the 120s or something. And I was just standing there watching him, man. Like, oh, but I'm glad you guys were that.
I was the only person that wasn't stressing out. I went to like hold my wife's hand, and she's like, "Get your hand away from me! I don't want to."
She said, "My hands all sweaty. Get away."
Yeah, no.
But I don't know. For some reason, I was like, "Oh, we're winning this fucking game, dude." I felt that as soon as like I said, when Patrick got that run, I was like, "Dude, we're winning this fucking game. There's no way this team's gonna lose now. There's no way this team is gonna lose."
Yeah, nailed it right down the middle, right down Main Street there, 38-35. That was one of the most pathetic Hail Mary attempts I've ever seen in my entire life. He threw that ball, 35 yards? It had to have slipped out of his hand or something.
Dude, as soon as he let go, everybody knew it was, just going to be so far underthrown.
I think his feet slipped on the field. That's what I heard.
Dude, I don't know. If you watch the replays, they only rush 2 guys, but then Nick Bolton and somebody else comes in. Nick Bolton almost did what Tyreek Hill did in the Pro Bowl to Kirk Cousins. He was right there in his face, and I'm kind of leaning to that. He might have threw off his trajectory or made him think twice about it.
Yeah.
Could have for sure rushed him or whatever. But Chiefs win Super Bowl 57, 38-35. One of the highest scoring Super Bowls of all time. One of the closest. One of the most nerve-wracking, if you're a Chiefs or an Eagles fan, crushing loss. What do you? We'll get to the poll here. What does this win do for the Chiefs? There's a lot of talk about dynasties and what is and what isn't a dynasty. It's kind of a relative term. You go back, people talk about, the 49ers and the Steelers, they won 4 in 6 years in the 70s or whatever, but they didn't have salary caps back then. There weren't as many teams as there are now. So it's hard to really use them as the measuring stick. So I think Nick's probably got the poll here.
Oh, yep. Hold on.
I'm gonna respond to John's comment here real quick. Just to let you know, cheap and Vegas are like oxymorons. That's not a thing. No matter how far out you want to try to buy those tickets, you're still going to spend $800 for some nosebleeds.
Yeah, definitely. This week's poll, I was curious to see what Chiefs Kingdom thought. Like, is this a dynasty yet, or is it not? And it was pretty close. And the no was actually leading most of the time the poll was up, and then yes snuck in here, got in there by a hair there at the end. I'd be interested to see what the chat thinks. 2 Super Bowls in 4 years. There's lots of other stuff, though, that you could put into it. Let's just go to the top there. Bo, what do you think?
Dude, it's weird. I've heard this argument all week. And if you start breaking it up, you could kind of say there's levels to it, right? Because if you're just talking about the AFC West, 100%. We own that division. We got a dynasty in there no matter. AFC still kind of arguably. We're still kind of owning the AFC. So you could kind of make that argument there. But as far as dynasty winning Super Bowls, right? I don't know that we're there quite yet. I think what this game did for us is it gets us over the hump that a lot of great quarterbacks failed to do, like Russell Wilson. I'm saying pre-Russell Wilson before the Broncos, obviously. He was a good quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, right? Like all these great quarterbacks that could only win one kind of failed to make it back. And if they did, they just kind of did terrible. Aaron Rodgers won 4 or 5 league MVPs and only went to 1 Super Bowl and only got 1, right? So I think that's what it did. It put us over that hump, kind of solidified the team as being a contender for a true dynasty, right? And then I think you were bringing it up. It puts us above, or it puts us with such an elite level of teams in the past, right? We have 3 now. There's only 4 other organizations that have more than us, 5 other organizations that have more. So yeah, dude, it helps us climb the ladder and gets us over the hump. But I'm refraining from using the term dynasty for the Super Bowl aspect of this. What about you, Nick?
I answered no. I've always kind of felt a dynasty is you got to win 3 within a certain period of time. So I answered no. I could see the argument though that they've done some things that nobody's ever done, which has been dominant, having 5 straight championship games at home. In those two championship games that they didn't go to the Super Bowl, they went to overtime, right? And then they did go to 3 Super Bowls and they lost, and they didn't, so they haven't won the third one. So I understand both arguments. I think that they're the closest thing that there is to a dynasty in the NFL right now, and I think that they're going to win another one with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it would be hard pressed to say that with the state of the organization right now. We have cap space. Patrick Mahomes' contract is going to be one of the cheaper. It's going to be right now. I think it's
weird to think,
right? Because of just the market's gone crazy, and they had that foresight to sign him earlier. And then you've got a bunch of guys that are going to be getting paid even more. So he's going to be probably close to like the 8th or 10th highest paid quarterback throughout his tenure here. We haven't gone all in like these other teams, right? We went the other way. We traded away a star player. We got draft capital. We had 8 rookies that played significant snaps in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, it's hard to believe that we wouldn't continue to be a dynasty, but I answered no to the poll just because I feel like right now we've got to win at least one more for it to be, because was Eli Manning, they won 2, were they a dynasty? Now I know there's the other things. They didn't go to 3 Super Bowls, they didn't go to 5 straight championships, but I feel like we're still one away from really being able to solidly say that we're a dynasty.
Right, but like with that, to that point, I completely agree with you. Like when you talk about Eli, there's like this weird qualifier, like little caveat that's just like, oh yeah, he's better than a lot of these other quarterbacks because he won 2 Super Bowls, right? And I think that's what I was trying to allude to. Is like it puts us like that, right? Like there's that, like, well, I mean, he's got 2 now, so
right.
Scott, what's your feeling about all this?
I think it is already. I understand the point of, oh, well, it's 3 Super Bowls in X amount of years, but I mean, the Chiefs went to 3 Super Bowls. You look at people talk about, like Nick was just referencing the Giants. The Giants also didn't set any records for consecutive 12-win seasons, and the Giants didn't win their division 7 years in a row, and they didn't host 5 straight NFC championship games. They didn't do like all these other things to go with their 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
I don't think any other team that's won 2 Super Bowls in a 4-year stretch is gone to a third, has hosted 5 straight AFC championship or championship conference, let's say conference championship games, had 5 or 6 consecutive 12-win seasons.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs are dominating. They are dominating. You look at what they've done in the NFC now. What they've won, what was that, like the 15th straight game they've won against NFC opponents? This team is a juggernaut, man. And
completely.
I expect them to get another Super Bowl in the next year or 2. I put a tweet out. I was thinking about this when there was something about the Super Bowl 58 next year in Las Vegas. I was thinking, man, how sweet is it going to be when the Chiefs go back-to-back and win the Super Bowl with Derek Thomas's number, Super Bowl 58, to get the 3rd ring in 5 years and just completely solidify the dynasty in the Raiders building. How awesome is that going to be?
Hey, since you just mentioned the Raiders building, can we not we got to find that guy's name that was the construction worker, right? And buried a Chiefs Kingdom flag under Allegiant Stadium, because I feel like that has worked wonders as far as cursing that team and performing.
We need to have him on the show.
Yeah, dude, we got to figure out who that guy is. We got to know his name to give him proper credit at least, right? Instead of just being that guy.
Right. But, and you look at like this year, the level of parity, the number of I want to say the average margin of victory in the NFL season was the closest it's ever been. They're constantly changing the rules and doing the draft and giving compensatory picks to teams that lose players to try to keep it even. They didn't do that back in the 70s, the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s when these other teams were doing this stuff. So, yeah.
Right.
Right. I think just the Chiefs, they've only got two 2 championships right now in the last 4 years. But no team has done the 2 championships in 4 years and had all of the other accomplishments and streaks and wins and records that this team has. So I'm calling it one. I think it is.
Fair enough, man. I like the argument. I'm still a little hesitant, but man, you're swaying me. I like it.
I mean, is there any other teams dominated the NFL or their conference like the Chiefs have the last 4 or 5 years?
No, man, we've said it here time and time again. We're witnessing something special, dude. When Patrick Mahomes is the first quarterback ever to get the MVP and Super Bowl MVP, right? It's just like
Yeah, look at the Rams.
Or the youngest. Maybe not ever, but the youngest for sure.
Rams won the Super Bowl last year. They won, 5 games this year?
Right.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they beat us in that Super Bowl, but they're also Rams now. They haven't won a playoff game since then. None of these other teams, the Tennessee Titans, the Chiefs beat in the first championship game to go to the first Super Bowl. They were
and all those
last year, but they weren't even in the playoffs this year. They lost their division to the freaking Jaguars. So yeah, I'm
right. And I think what makes it even more special, right, is all those teams you just mentioned, right? They had the philosophy to go all in, buy big players, big names, and do it all then that season. And you're seeing them. They don't have the ability to repeat. They lose guys or they spend too much money and they kind of screw themselves. We're in the best position possible, dude. We have
100%.
So many rookie contracts, so many guys. We made so much room in cap space, getting rid of some certain players. Like for a rebuilding year, we just won the Super Bowl, man. Like, woo, that's crazy to think about.
They've got 12 draft picks next year and $70 million in cap space. The Chargers are in cap hell. They haven't even extended Justin Herbert yet. They got to do that. The Raiders, the Broncos are in cap hell. The Broncos have no draft picks. The Bengals, it's looking like they may lose T. Higgins because he's wanting a mega deal. They got to pay Joe Burrow coming up here.
Mm-hmm.
All these other teams that are like the prime competition, Josh Allen, that team started falling off. Their number 1 ranked defense and their 2 all-pro safeties are getting up in age, and their deals are starting to come up. They're going to be older players. You're going to have to pay for past performances. This is set up for the Chiefs right now. They are sitting pretty, man.
Yeah.
Just when I remember kind of when all the moves were being made, I was like sitting there questioning Brett Veach, dude. Just like, what is this guy thinking, man? Like, it's one of those moves. It's either going to pay off, or man, you're gonna just have egg all over your face, right? And whoo, did it pay off in such a huge way for us, dude? Like you said, we're just set up so perfectly. I'm so thankful. Yeah, race car. Lucky to be a Chiefs fan right now, dude. We're witnessing greatness. But dude, to that point, not only just on the player side, like what great coaching we saw this Super Bowl to have 2 players completely wide open in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Talking about the management. Just going with rookies, not trying to go all in just to get one, right? Having the foresight to just draft all these studs. Hats off to the recruiting team too, dude. All the scouts that they have to go find these guys.
Yeah. We've been picking in the last 4 for the last 5 years, right?
Yeah.
The Eagles were the best pass defense in the NFL this year, and we had guys open to basically win the Super Bowl that didn't have another defender on their side of the field. With Patrick and Andy, and there was the funny stuff going around about Jay Glazer put this out. It was like, could this be Andy's last year? And he kept telling us. But I've had that question asked to me 50 times the last 2 weeks. So I finally was like, whatever, we'll see or whatever. Just quit asking me about it. He's not retiring. Why would you retire?
Yeah.
You've got the best quarterback.
I've been waiting my whole life for this guy.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I've been waiting my whole fucking life for Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Did Brady get, or not Brady, did Belichick get that question with Brady? Like, hey, you've won 2 now. Hey, you won 5 now. You thinking about retiring? I don't remember those questions. Like, we're doing it again. We're running it back. Like, that's all I remember hearing.
That's just people trying to find something to
He was
talk
like
about.
a decade younger. Right.
You're kind of cutting in and out a little bit, Nick. So I don't know if you're trying to make a point or if you're getting caught up from being froze or whatever. But
he was saying, Belichick was like a decade younger at that point when he was winning.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that Andy Reid's got 10 or 15 more years in him, but he's easily got another 5 years. You think? I mean,
I don't know how old Andy Reid is. How old is that guy?
He's 60-something.
Oh, bro, Pete Carroll's like 74, isn't he? Like, dude, we got 10 more years with Big Red. As long as he just kind of like limits those cheeseburgers a little bit.
Travis Kelce had one of his best seasons ever. Still at his age, you got to think. You got to think he's got 2 more peak top level performing seasons than him at least here. Patrick's just now hitting 27 years old, which is just absolutely ridiculous to think about what that dude has accomplished by the age of 27 in the NFL. A stud running back, rookie Isaiah Pacheco, a young line, guys that are under rookie deals, first contracts. Yeah, Andy Reid's not going anywhere. And I got news for the NFL. The Chiefs aren't going anywhere. This was the rebuilding year, and they won the Super Bowl. So.
God, shh. Let them think differently, man.
Yeah, exactly. They'll forget. Then not.
It's a secret.
Right. Yeah, they're not. None of these experts are listening to little old me on Chiefs Kingdom Live talk, but maybe they should have, because everybody who knows, that's everybody in the chat, everybody that's watching right now, and everybody that's watched this show since the beginning of the year, we all said all along that the Broncos and the Raiders and Chargers weren't going to get it done. The Chiefs were going to get it done. I thought the Chiefs had lost a little bit of their edge, a little bit of their gap that they had on some of these other contenders when they lost Tyreek Hill, because it was the big 3, right? It was Tyreek and Travis and Patrick on the offense, but they were able to work a way around it and stay ahead of the competition. So I don't know. Do you guys think, I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are. You think Juju comes back next year? Bo?
Ooh. I mean, we had that conversation. I don't know, man. Like, we got a pretty deep receiving core pretty fast, right? Like, everybody really stepped up to the plate, I feel like, this year. Whereas, like, where we were thinking he was the wide receiver 1, I don't know that might be his place next year. I mean, he balled out this game. Don't lie. Like, he was integral in us getting a lot of first downs. Did amazingly well all year, really. But dude, with what we were just talking about, like the way the management kind of is leaning younger, and we have the talent, maybe not. I personally would like to see him there. I think he's huge. I think he's explosive. He's a threat. He gets defenses thinking about him. But I've been way wrong before about these kind of things, as this year proved. So I wouldn't hang my hat on him sticking around all year, but I personally would love to see it.
I don't know. So we've got potentially with Justin Ross that we drafted, that see if he plays next year. And then
forgot about him.
The guy that we signed from the Bengals, right? That was a first-round draft pick that I think ran a 40 time at the combine that was faster than Tyreek Hill.
But he like blew both of his ankle or both of his calves when he did that, though, right?
He did, but he's still super fast. So I think we're going to continue to probably have that. Now, it sounds like we have the cap space. It just depends on how much money Juju's looking for and how long of a deal he's looking for. I think that they would want to sign him, but I don't think they're going to sign him for big money. So it really just depends on what the market's like for him.
Yeah.
So I would give it a coin flip chance that he's with us next year.
Yeah. You think he is or no, though? Yeah or nay?
I'll say no.
Yeah, I'll say no too.
I think he comes back. I think he likes playing with Patrick.
Sure.
And I think guys are looking at this team now like that's the place to go if you want to compete. That's the place to go if you want to win, and that's the place to go if you want to play with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, we got cool Nick on this show.
Yeah, we got.
Oh no, dude, I completely agree with you. Which baffled me about that whole Tyreek Hill situation. Why would you want to leave? Like, to me, it was super evident last year, and it's just even more evident this year. And that's to me, that's again why he can't demand too much money. I personally would like to see him here. I'm going to say that he probably doesn't, because he was good enough to demand some more money elsewhere, that are especially teams that are struggling at that position. And then just our general tendency to lean towards rookies and go towards those guys. So,
right. Nick, I think you had a graphic with some Super Bowl stuff you had there you wanted to bring up.
Yeah. We'll bring this up. So first, I got two memes that I haven't shown yet, so we'll do those first. So we got for all the Valentine's Day folks out there. So hope you aren't looking for a ring from the Eagles.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. I think Scotty sent that one through, and then
I was laughing.
We were kind of hitting on this with the receiving core. So this is from Iron Man. Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl on one leg with a box of scrap wide receivers.
As I was walking out of the Super Bowl, the dude, somebody next to me is just like, "We just won the Super Bowl without a true WR1."
Mm-hmm.
I was just like,
"Oh yeah."
I wasn't mad at that at all, dude. I was just like, "Yeah, we did." Just the potential there.
Yeah.
So, and then just to close this out, we don't have an upcoming opponent, so I did the Keys of the Kingdom here, which is to celebrate Lombardi number 3. We got a couple of season stats that I thought stood out. So, our record this year, this is
well done.
Credit to Laney. So Laney gave me this photo, and then I had a few parade shots that I put up earlier that were from Matt's significant other, Galen. So thank you for those. We got some pretty cool shots.
Those were so cool.
Yeah, it was dope.
Got super close. Travis Kelce to get to shake her hand.
Yeah. I just that's the parade, man. They were out there. They were amongst the people.
Awesome.
So our record this year with postseason, we ended up 17-3, number 1 in the NFL. Won more games than any other team.
Let's go.
Points scored 496. First,
what?
More scored than any other team. Record against playoff teams, including postseason, played 11 games against people that made the postseason this year, and we went 9-2. Of that, we beat all the other Final Four teams. So all the teams that are in the championship games had an L from Kansas City this year. Now the Bengals beat us in 1 out of 2. But yep, we did that. We had the NFL MVP, Patrick Mahomes, in our division record. We went 6-0. So I would call that a pretty successful fucking season right there. And we can see our 3 Lombardi trophies in the background there. So
looks good.
We're so lucky, guys.
So good. That's so unreal to say that we've actually seen the Chiefs now win the Super Bowl twice in our lifetime.
Yeah.
It's just such a great sentence to be able to utter, man. Like, what?
That Super Bowl 4 trophy finally got some friends there to hang out with in the trophy case.
It's the old head in the room.
Dude, that puts you right up there. So that ties them. That ties the Chiefs with the Raiders and the Broncos with 3. The only other teams with more Super Bowls are the Steelers, the 49ers, the Patriots, Cowboys, the Giants, and the Packers. That's it.
6? I was saying 5 earlier. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, and if you win, they get the 4th. Now you're really up there. You are one of the all-time great franchises at that point when it comes to Super Bowl success. So, John C's been. I'll be there next year with 3 in the house. I can't wait for it over next year.
We're gonna see him.
God, I was just thinking about that after this last couple of days after the Super Bowl game. I was thinking, man, I gotta wait how long to go back to a game now at Arrowhead and see that trophy presentation, man. Oh, dude, that's gonna be. It'll probably be because usually the team that wins the Super Bowl gets the kickoff, the opening night game at home, right?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah.
So, really looking forward. I'm looking forward to next season with how young this team is, and some of these guys are going to be coming back, and they can just add. They got picks, and they've got picks, and they've got salary cap room to just fortify this thing, man, for the long haul. Nick, you talked about not going all in, right, like the Rams did, and a couple of these other teams, and doing it the right way. for sure.
Yeah, how stupid was it when you saw when teams saw 2 or 3 other teams go all in that they're like, we're going to go all in too. You know that only one team's going to win, so the odds are then that you're going to be screwed, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I was alluding to this point earlier. If you look at the teams who have won the Super Bowl, besides the Chiefs in the past 5 years, they've only been there once because of that mentality, right? They don't have the fortitude to continue it the next year, right? They either have to lose players due to paying too much, or like, yeah, they had some younger guys and they lose them to other teams. But Chiefs are the only team in the past 5 years that have been back multiple times. Or that won the Super Bowl and been back multiple times.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I told my daughter when we made the Super Bowl, because she was kind of like, oh, we're in the Super Bowl. I was like, I feel bad for you kind of because you're young.
You don't know.
and it's never going to be this good again after this year is over, right? It's probably never, ever going to be this good. And I'm happy for you that you're going to remember it. But I'm kind of sad for you that it's going to happen so early in your life, because then it's going to be over.
I don't know. You say that, but the Colts went from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck, and Green Bay went from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. The 49ers
go from Patrick Mahomes to Bronze Mahomes, right?
Yeah, might go to bronze. 49ers went from Joe Montana to Steve Young. I mean, it can happen. Yeah, I mean, Patrick Mahomes the guy would be in the Hall of Fame if he retired. If he came out tomorrow and retired, he'd be first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt.
100%.
Easily, dude. He has all the numbers to back that claim up. 100%. You're not gonna get any argument there from me.
No, you're not gonna get any argument from anybody when it comes to that. So, yeah, and just having those 3 trophies, just so we can say we have as many as the Raiders and the Broncos now, so you can shut them up when they. Because that's what they always talk about, their fans. Oh, I mean, it's true. How many Lombardis you got? I know you beat us 10 in a row, but we still got you on the Super Bowls. Not no more. 3 apiece, baby. 3 apiece. And ours are within the last 20 years. So, yeah, wild time.
And Chargers ain't got none.
The Chargers ain't got none. Still sitting
there. So before it gets too late here in the show,
Scotty,
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Scotty, you brought this up. So I don't know if anybody saw this, but
Melvin Gordon.
Yeah. And this is kind of how I felt as a fan when I saw this. I was like, that's kind of how I feel. Like, I didn't do shit, but I still get to celebrate.
No
way,
we
were out there making noise, helping them out, getting those false starts, man.
We brought that trophy home, man. It wasn't just them; it's also the fans. I danced my ass off trying to get on that jumbotron. Okay, I was trying my hardest out there.
Bo brought it home.
What I was going to say is, before it gets too late, I want to show you some of the goodies I got you guys here. I was waving this at the beginning. Right, it's a little Super Bowl towel they're handing out. I got one for each of you guys.
Damn.
And I might have picked one up for the chat here. So we're look for a giveaway here pretty soon, either next week or on our Twitter or something. Win yourself one of these cool Super Bowl towels. Tell a friend to like and subscribe as well.
That's such a dope logo too. The way the colors are and the way it's set up with the L and the trophy and the V and the II looks sick. It looks sick.
I could spend as much money on Chiefs gear as I could Super Bowl tickets, dude. I could go broke again. Also picked up for the boys here some commemorative Super Bowl hats for you guys.
Damn.
Wow, Bo.
And then because you guys are just awesome,
I'm gonna have to spend money.
No, you're not. You're good. I'm using one of them, but hey, it is what it is. I got you guys some commemorative cups too, but I'm using this one tonight. So
nice.
I'll wash it. Maybe I'll spit it and send it to you. But yeah, cheers, fellas. I love this season. This show's been awesome. It's been so much fun doing it with you guys. There's no way I could go to that game and not get you guys at least a little something.
I was just hoping for a cup. So
no, I also got you confetti. Where's that at?
Yeah, you've already blown me out of the water with my expectations. So
where is it at? I'm looking around here. I got some Super Bowl confetti. Nick was nice enough years ago to get me an AFC championship. confetti bag right here. So I'm paying them the favor here with some Super Bowl confetti.
I've got some for you from this year too, buddy.
Hey-o. It's gonna go in the next year's frame with the paper.
Right. Papers are hard to get right now. The papers are hard to get. So
yeah,
I have to go online and see if we can order some prints, because the Kansas City Star, their production and their distribution is down to like next to nothing when it comes to the actual paper, the daily papers. I went to like 6 places and 3 or 4 of them said that they don't even bring them to us anymore. And the other 2 places were like, we had like 5 or 10 this morning early, and they were gone in less than 30 minutes. So had to figure something out there. But yeah, anything else you guys want to get to? Final thoughts before we get out of here?
Dude, we won the Super Bowl.
We won the Super Bowl. I mean,
damn.
Yeah, no. We're looking for, we're going to keep doing the show here in the off season. We're going to try and do a weekly show still. Might not be 2 hours, so might free up some of your all's evenings, your Wednesday evenings here, coming up pretty soon. But you know, we got the draft coming up, draft in Kansas City here in April. So we'll be doing that. Combines coming up with that and the draft, and then OTAs and free agent signings. And we might go do some like best of, some greatest hits from maybe some of the best games of the season. We're working with some Kansas City, some Chiefs Kingdom artists and creators and people maybe to get on there. Just meet some more Chiefs Kingdom. We can't thank everybody enough for all the support that you all have given us this season. We've grown leaps and bounds this season compared to when we started the year before. We're really starting to get some traction and get some followers and get some subs and get our hours up. And we just started doing this as fun. And we've met so many cool people like Tom and John C. and Brenda, and get to talk to our friends like Bo and Race Car, who we stay in contact with, but it was nothing like I didn't get to talk to y'all.
Not like this, right?
You know what I'm saying? So it's been a lot of fun. Our man Chris, I know Doug, I know Laney, just everybody that's
Dylan, John V, Tom,
Yeah,
John, all
John
the
V.
Johns, John C,
Right.
John V.
Right. You know, our buddies over at the Locker Room Rant, Tony and Nick made friends with those guys. And
Oh yeah, look out for a bonus episode. We want to bet against those guys, and we're gonna air it either here or on their channel. But they got to eat some ridiculously hot chicken wings pretty soon, so look forward to that.
Yep. Chiefs saved us there, so just another favor they did us. But yeah, everybody that's watched and likes the content and has given us a subscription and joins us each week, our contest winners, congratulations. We've got, like Bo said, he's got some swag, some Super Bowl stuff there that we're gonna try to hook up some of our buddies, our friends here.
One of the only channels that actually do send out gear and provide winners with actual stuff. I've seen so many internet competitions.
Yeah, you always wonder.
You don't ever hear if they get a winner or not.
But yeah, so thanks again to everybody who has watched us, has tuned in. If it's been every week, if it's been when you can. Everybody who's interacted with us on social media,
for sure.
Send us comments. People send us tweets and send messages to us saying that they like the show. For 3 guys who are just doing this for fun as buddies and kind of what it's turned into. And if we can grow this thing and get some money rolling in on this, we can do some more giveaways. So spread the word. Tell your friends. Chiefs are Super Bowl 57 champions.
Yeah, we are, baby.
In Arizona, where they started, they finished it. They actually got more wins in State Farm Stadium this year than the Arizona Cardinals did. So they got that going for them.
With 2.
Chiefs Kingdom Live. We were out there. Bo and I were there for the first. So I feel kind of like I went.
Shout out to Hachi and Pub Rock Live real quick. Man, I'm thinking back about this year, dude. We had Joe Valerio, Johnny B-side, some former Chiefs players, some huge fanatics. Man, yeah, dude. We were out there in Arizona, finished in Arizona. God, what a hell of a year.
I feel like I kind of went to the Super Bowl because I went to Arizona too earlier in the year and went to the game at State Farm Stadium. But yeah, keep tuning in each week. We're going to have off-season stuff to do, and we look forward to it. And until next time, let's go Chiefs, Super Bowl 57 champions 3 times, baby.
Let's
climbing the
go.
mountain.
How
We're
about
getting
those
up in there.
Chiefs?
Let's go. Until next time, let's go Chiefs, baby.
Let's go Chiefs.